and I specialise in child abuse investigations.
So we can ask you the question you were talking about earlier. Are you seeing problems with opioid addiction?
I guess my specialisation is child abuse, but from my knowledge of other crime types in relation to drugs, methamphetamine is really a big issue in Australia, more so than what I've been advised of here in the United States, which is heroin addiction.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jo Bell. I'm 39. I'm a registered nurse and a registered midwife. I'm from a little country town called Stanthorpe at the bottom of Queensland on the border. It's 45 minutes drive north of where Caitlin is. I work in a small country town. It's a 40-bed hospital and has 120 births of babies a year.
So you're in the maternity area, or?
Yeah.
Well, that must be a fulfilling thing to do.
It is a wonderful job.
So none of you really live with each other. You're not really familiar with each other before you. How did the group get together? How did you choose the members of your group?
So I was selected first, so I had an interview with other Rotarians who were interested in doing the exchange. My particular interest in being a team leader was the fact that I had been a Rotary exchange student here in Pennsylvania 37 years ago. So I was particularly interested in coming back to Pennsylvania because I love it. And so when I was successful, I then joined the committee, the Rotary District Committee, to choose a team. So these ladies plus 7 others nominated, and we had a weekend of selections. So it was quite grueling. I think we had as many on the selection panel as there were people applying. So we had a lot of. It was very difficult.
It was a rigorous
selection.
Yeah. I think even if you didn't get selected to be part of this team, that weekend alone was a massive learning curve. I don't know many people that go through that much rigorous sort of interviewing, even for their job.
That's true. And then once they were selected, they only met at the weekend. Once they were selected, I was given the job of notifying them all, which was lovely. We all then decided to get together as soon as possible to organise what we wanted to do for our exchange. We were given a fairly free rein as to how we would like to organise our tour. So many GSE teams have come before us, so we had a lot of really good information already at hand. But then we did some unusual things. For example, most of the uniforms are all navy or black.
We're not going to ask you about this.
Yeah. This is the first time. It's the second time an all-girl team has been selected. So we decided, because we're an all-girl team, we would do something a little bit girly.
That's not the official colour of Australia.
No. Not until we go and start a political party.
But the pink, and we stand out. We can't lose each other ever. I just look the crowd, and there they are. You want to talk about bonding in our hometowns?
Oh yeah, we had so part of once the selection process was over, we got together and we sort of first met on the Gold Coast, but then about once a month we'd get together for a weekend in someone else's different towns. So we got to know sort of family and friends, but it was really good. We'd have our meeting, but we'd also get out and explore a bit of the town, and it was a lot of fun. We had lots of really good days and nights and ate lots.
So it's a wonderful opportunity because some of us actually hadn't been to each other's hometowns either. So even before we've come on this trip to explore Pennsylvania, we've had the opportunity to explore our district and our Rotary district as well. So it was we were fortunate to have that opportunity before we came over to do that.
We got to do amazing things, even before we sort of arrived, doors open, we got to get into Paradise Country and cuddle a real koala, and then we met an emu, so we got to feed him frozen peas, and
Jo, Jo is a mum, so she's got 2 little boys at home. How old are they, Jo?
10 and 6.
So how long are you here?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, so that's tough, huh?
That's pretty good. My husband's at home. He's taken 4 weeks off, and he texts me every day and sent me a little video on Mother's Day, so that was really wonderful.
Do you have Mother's Day in Australia?
Same day as
Okay. That's what I thought it was just a Hallmark call it.
We have those same.
Father's Day is a different day.
Is it?
Our Father's
Yes.
Day we celebrate in September.
Yeah.
So you're here for 4 weeks, so tell us about what you've done so far.
So much. So we started in the greater Harrisburg area, and we went to Hershey one day where we learnt a lot in the first day. We went to the Hershey Medical Centre. I don't personally know of anything like that set up in Australia, a school like that. And then we just topped the afternoon off with chocolate.
The
As
park's
we would.
not open, I guess, and you didn't get a chance to do it.
No, we did
No,
get a chocolate
we
though.
just
Yeah,
we
that's fun.
we pretty much bought souvenirs and
Yes.
bought chocolate.
And now that we know so much about the Hershey story, the chocolate just tasted even sweeter. So that was really, really great.
Yeah, and then lots more. You guys want to keep going?
Yeah, we had a day in Harrisburg as well. So we toured the state capitol, and we sort of toured the James Cameron Smith mansion. It was
Buchanan.
that was somewhere
That
else.
was at Lancaster.
That was last
Oh.
week.
So many.
Had sort of got to see the river and wandered around downtown York. We're in York now. Downtown Harrisburg. Went to the State Museum of Pennsylvania, and also explored Carlisle, Mechanicsburg.
That's great. So you're really getting around with the
Yeah, that was the first week.
Last week we went to Lancaster, so we each did our own vocational day in Lancaster. Some of us went to a ball game in Lancaster, saw the Lancaster Barnstormers play the baseball, so that was a great experience. We went to the little town of...
York's team is better.
Right.
Yeah.
We explored Lidditz, and we went to a Moravian church. That was a great experience. We also had a day in Philadelphia, and a tour around Philadelphia and all the sites that were on offer there. And we also had a day with the Amish, and that was interesting as well, cultural immersion, and so that was really enjoyable.
What did you think of the Amish tourist attractions in Lancaster?
It was excellent. We started off with an Amish school, and the teacher was exceptional. She had 4 classes, 35 students. They were just all, impeccably behaved. They treated us to a lovely song and some singing, which was excellent. We then went and saw where they make buggies, the Amish buggies, which was really good. We also went to a family business where they did some carpentry, and then we were treated to lunch with an Amish family, which was really enjoyable. And then there was time for some shopping as well, and one of us made a purchase of an Amish quilt, so that'll be fun trying to get that back to Australia.
Yeah,
I think we sort of saw what a lot of people don't see the Amish.
Yeah,
I don't think
we
saw the
didn't
tourist
see the actual
attractions.
tourist attraction.
No,
I
I
don't
think
think
we
we
got
did
authentic
Yeah, I don't think we
experience.
saw the
Yeah.
tourist attractions. I think
We were very
saw
lucky.
the real thing, which was very fabulous.
We had a guy, a contact that drives, that taxis them around, take us in his minivan, and I think he just knew a lot of people, and they had a lot of rapport with him, that I think we actually didn't get that much of a tourist experience. I don't know about you guys,
No,
but
no,
I
we
didn't
didn't.
even feel like that shop was that touristy. We really sort of, it probably was.
I've always
but-
thought it was so ironic that they built a tourism industry around people who just want to be left alone.
Bronwyn and I had a little taste of it because our vocational day, we sort of met with Discover Lancaster, and they took us on a buggy ride, and we sort of went to like an Amish village that was a tourist attraction. And I mean, the buggy ride was fantastic, and it was an authentic Amish driver, and he was so open with us and answered all our questions. But we sort of got the feel with the big car parks, and we didn't get to have a look around much of the village. But this on the day we actually spent with the Amish was going into their homes, and
You couldn't tell because they were obviously scattered all over the neighbourhood or the area. You couldn't really, it was not obvious.
I think one of the most memorable things for me was going into the school, and then they asked us to present to the children. So we presented and just talked about ourselves and where we were from. And they'd been learning, the Year 5s had been learning about Australia, but they had no idea how to pronounce koala. So they asked us how we say koala, because
Because they only read it.
They only read it. Yeah, they didn't know the pronunciation. So we were able to teach the children how to pronounce koala, and that was wonderful. We left them a book on Australia and some little animals, so it was good.
Are there any plain sect folks in Australia? Do you have any Amish
Yes.
in your
Not
city?
Amish, but we have brethren.
Brethren, yeah.
There's a large community in a town that's 45 minutes north of where I live
Okay.
and 6 hours north of where I live. And they're a close community as well. They have their own churches and their own schools. And they also wear plain clothes and hairbands, not caps. Yeah.
But they don't have a tourist.
No.
It's not a big,
No. It's not, they would definitely not set up in tourists. But they have very similar morals in that they don't go to university, that they teach themselves their own trades, and they have their own trade centres, you know.
I think the movie Witness put Lancaster County and also the Amish on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of a big thing a few years ago.
Would you like us to explain a little bit about the program that we're on?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so it's sponsored by Rotary International and Rotary Foundation, and we're here for a cultural experience and a vocational experience. So we have a set program every day that some lovely Rotarians have put together, some great features, so we might see some sightseeing but some great innovations as well. So it inspires us to be better community-minded people. And so once a week we also go on a vocational exchange, so I've been to a hospital and everybody else has been to their vocation.
Yeah. And we do community service.
We've also done community services, so we're sponsored by Rotary International and Rotary Foundation, so how we give back is we have a service project and we've chosen Race Against Racism, and we attended the race on the 30th of April in Harrisburg.
Okay.
And we're selling...
We had one in New York last
They seem to occur.
It's the same day.
Same weekend,
Yeah.
yes.
I ran in that was fun. Yeah.
So any fundraising we do through the trip by selling these pink animals. I'm gonna get these ones, and then we auctioned off this guy, Cheeky.
This is our little mascot. He comes everywhere with us.
All that money at the end we'll pull together and we'll donate to that
So
project.
that's how we
racism,
give
yeah.
back for what we've been given.
We also
We're
packaged at District Conference 20,000
Yes.
meal packs,
Rotary.
meal packs with at the Rotary Conference, so that was another service project.
And the other cool thing is we're staying with families, so we don't stay in hotels and motels.
Yeah.
We are all billeted out to a Rotarian family in each area.
Being immersed in your culture completely, like living in people's homes.
Eat what you eat, do what you do.
That's been a good experience.
Driving on
It's
the
been
opposite
amazing.
side of the road.
Yeah.
Drop you off and see you later.
It's great. Yep.
So what have you seen in York so far? Have you went to Rotary? Rotary Club, right?
Yes, Rotary Club. Yesterday we had a walking tour of downtown York, so that was great, and we had a look at all the artwork and
Brenda.
met the Brenda, artist Brenda, who now we're sort of noticing her artwork all around downtown York, which is beautiful. And then we had the tour with Kevin, Representative Kevin Schreider, and JJ as well, so they were wonderful. And then we went to the York Water Company and the library with Laura.
Yeah.
So,
And we
yeah.
had pretzels.
Oh, yes, and we had pretzels. Yeah, pretzels were very good.
York City pretzel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we each had an individual vocational day on Tuesday.
Monday.
Monday.
Oh,
Yesterday was Tuesday.
So they have been on Tuesday.
It's rolling.
It does roll into one, yeah.
And
Did you
today,
go on patrol with the police?
Actually, this time I got to go to the York College, and that was excellent because I was able to speak with the professor from the Criminal Justice Division, and I found that really interesting because I actually did a degree in criminology and criminal justice, and so it was nice to be able to draw the comparisons. It was also interesting to hear about the research that she's doing, and I'm hopeful that she'll be able to send me a paper that she's working on in relation to homicide rates, which I have an interest in as well. So, yeah, I'll be able to draw some
Did you get to talk
comparisons.
to classes? Well, they're in finals now.
They're actually in
Yeah,
finals,
yeah.
so they're a little bit, bit stressed and under pressure. So it's best to sort of leave them.
and today, we can talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, today we went to
that was
the
amazing.
we started off at the Susan Burns Educational Centre,
Mhm.
and then we went across the road to Biztown,
They're both
which
unique
was
facilities.
they were
really
incredible.
incredible.
Yeah.
We're going to
Did
steal
kids
all the
share in
ideas.
both
Yeah.
places? Did you see the kids?
Yes, we
saw the
did.
kids in
Yeah,
Biztown. They were setting up
they were
their town.
starting their day, and they had their town meeting, and swore in the mayor.
We had an interview by their newspaper as well.
Yes, we did.
They were probably better than us. Did they do a story about your visit?
Yeah, they're going to upload it onto their blog.
So you can see it.
Unfortunately, due to privacy,
Yeah.
they can't allow us to see it.
Oh,
But
that's a shame.
I'm hoping that the director will send me an email. Yeah.
Well, so can you give us some overall impressions of America? I mean, has your experience been what you expected? You know, you probably only have experienced, some of you have only experienced the United States through the media or what have you.
Yeah.
Is it different than you expected,
Yeah.
or pretty much the same?
Well, this is quite offensive, but Americans have always been pictured as brash and loud and rude, but they're not like that at all. People are just so kind and generous and giving and friendly and welcoming. Yeah.
So the stereotypes are...
Yeah.
Horrible stereotype. But
Yeah, I
I'll
guess
take that back.
I really love the patriotism in America. I love that you do the Pledge of Allegiance and that everybody has a flag displayed, and you can really see the love for your country, and that's really stood out for me.
That's interesting. So a Rotary group from, was it Czechoslovakia,
They did.
came here last year and talked, and they said the same thing. And
Yeah.
I was sort of surprised to hear that.
I think it's definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So any impressions from you?
I think the hospitality has been one of the things that's just been absolutely outstanding. Everyone has been so welcoming. I'm loving the food, but the portion sizes are way too big. But it's been,
Any thoughts?
I made a comment that I thought the men were real gentlemen.
That's
I
right.
don't know. I feel like sometimes the Australian men are a bit rough around the edges, or they don't want to show that gentle side. I've really, because with Rotary being there's a lot of males in Rotary always taking us around, and they've just been absolute gentlemen.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, good manners.
I think for me it's your knowledge of the history and your love of the history. We don't have a long history in Australia as far as our European settlement goes. It's only just over 200 years. So to hear the knowledge of your history that you have and the way you treasure it and the way you maintain the buildings and maintain the history is really refreshing to see. And
Well,
Yeah.
Jim loves you now. Did he give you a presentation on it?
We had about 10 minutes. And,
Yeah, yeah. And there's some backwards things. There is, you guys use a lot of checks
yeah.
still, like written checks to pay people with. That is pretty much now just the older, the pensioners would use that. Still, I honestly don't think that there's many checkbooks still around in Australia. A lot of electronic banking
Where
happens.
did you encounter people using checks? Because I don't really...
I
don't even remember
stayed
how
with,
to write a check.
I stayed with a girl that is around my age that still gets paid by check,
Really?
monthly or week, every second
we've
week.
had a couple
or
of meals have been paid for by check.
Yeah.
Writing out check.
Yeah, so maybe we've
Yeah,
seen,
and then-
I don't know. You drive on the other side of the road, that's super scary.
I'm still getting used to that, and sometimes I find myself going into the driver's seat when I should be going to the passenger seat.
Yeah.
So it's
You have automatic toilets that flush automatically.
Terrifying.
And they're
The
the
sense ones are
other,
terrifying.
the water goes the other way around. That's
And
there's a lot of
that's right,
water
yeah,
in
the northern
Yeah.
hemisphere.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
and the light
light
switches,
switches
are
are the
opposite.
opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
What other quirky things have we noticed?
The
Hot and cold
showers.
taps are like they're the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah.
Instead of the hot and cold, not the taps, but when you turn
mixer.
hot, mixer. Yeah,
that what you
that's
call
you
it?
go the opposite way.
We don't have basements in Australia either.
You know that we don't in a lot of places either. In this area we do. Like my sister lives in Dallas, and nobody in the Southwest has a
okay.
basement. So,
Okay.
I'm not really sure why.
We've had a lot of iced tea to drink,
Yeah, not a lot of.
and we don't drink iced tea. And the coffee, I don't drink coffee, but I've heard that it's not quite as
Don't get us
distorted.
You should turn your camera this way
Yeah.
to the coffee drinkers and ask them how it's different.
I drink coffee for their protection.
I think I don't know it's hard to explain. We're used to like a barista making the coffee there and then. grinding the beans and then putting it through the espresso machine and then doing your milk texturing and adding the shot and the milk. You guys just have what we call drip coffee. And it's funny. It's it's only because us coffee drinkers care. No one else cares. But it's an interesting. I think it's a European influence that we've got. That it's very normal for people to pay $4.50 to $5 for a cup a day if they were to buy their coffee.
And we've got a cafe like on every corner, so it's so easy anywhere in Australia to find now a really good cup of that sort of like espresso, latte,
different.
So even our
cappuccino.
more high-end coffee places don't really measure up to...
We have had some good coffee.
We found some of the same style, but they seem to be more the eclectic little hole-in-the-wall cafes,
Not
like
a
hipster.
Starbucks or...
No, not at all. In Australia, Starbucks is, for us personally, us
Terrible.
coffee lovers, probably the worst kind you can buy.
Yeah,
It is the
Starbucks
last
facility,
resort.
Yeah.
They package it.
But it's just a strange food difference. It's just,
Yeah.
it's nothing.
What's your favorite American food?
Pretzels. Pretzels. We had some incredible pretzels yesterday with beautiful dipping sauces. I've been to a number of different countries. I went to Munich in Germany, and the pretzels in York, hands down,
Wow.
the best. And I'm not just saying that.
I had a German
She wasn't
exchange
paid.
student a couple of years ago, and he said the pretzels in Germany were better, but the food is totally
He
fine.
was just being patriotic.
Yeah, we had to say
I
that.
also love American barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, that's been.
Now, see, we think of barbecue when we
grill. Your grill is our barbecue, but
Yeah. So we think of you as experts in barbecuing.
Yeah.
It's kind of an American
I'd say-
stereotype of Australia, putting shrimp on the barbie. Something like that.
Yeah, give us some stereotypes that you guys have of us.
You have any, Jim? We were talking about
What
that.
have you heard?
No, what have you heard about Australia?
Yeah, come on.
What are your impressions?
Yeah, is Crocodile Dundee a popular movie over there?
Yeah,
Is Paul
it is
Hogan
popular.
a big
Yeah.
celebrity?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not all men
Not so
can
much now.
wrestle a crocodile.
Yeah.
And no one carries a knife.
And not everyone is
That's
as
illegal.
sun tanned anymore. They way more sun conscious in
Yes.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people like Mel Gibson in Australia?
Yeah, he hasn't produced anything.
No, they didn't. No. It's my favorite out of Cuba.
What What about the outback? That seems like an exotic place to Americans, I think.
It's exotic if you like flies and heat.
I think that's one interesting thing that I found here is every 30 kilometres, every 30 minutes that you travel, there's another new city, new infrastructure, and that town doesn't know much about that town.
In Australia?
Yeah,
Or-
no, in
No,
America.
yeah.
You can go
Yeah.
30 minutes drive and it's a totally different town, and
Kind of insular.
everyone's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
at risk of using that word. Yeah, they are.
I think living in the country in Australia, like big drives are just part of our life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll drive 4 hours to the Gold Coast for a half-hour appointment, and then I'll drive home, or it's 3.5 hours to the airport. So
Wow.
we're sort of used to those
Yeah.
distances and
Yeah.
travelling and for getting out and exploring.
Yeah, take directions from
Yeah, the
Australia. I'll
areas.
just say, oh, it's up the road. And
Yeah.
Our population is only 24 million
Mm.
compared to you guys.
Yeah.
We're very much more spread out.
Yeah, but the land mass is about the same, so the map of Australia sort of fits over the top of the United States. Yeah.
So have you paid any attention to our presidential election since you've been here?
Yes.
Any impressions of the front runners? Looks like it's going to be Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton.
I really
Yeah.
don't know who you're going to vote for.
A big thing for us is we didn't realise how long this whole process actually goes on for before you actually select your candidates.
Yes.
And I think that was really a big observation that I found was that you haven't even actually got to the election point yet at this point. It's not until November, I think. And then potentially that could still change again because you've got another system with the College of Delegates, and you've also got another system in place. So it was quite complicated to try and understand it. Our election campaigns don't go as long as what they seem to go in the United States. So that was really an interesting contrast.
Yeah, it's been dragging on for, gosh, at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
And
money.
It's so much money.
So much
And we
money.
also
Yeah.
don't vote for our Prime Minister. we don't vote specifically for
Right.
that person. We vote within our constituency, so we vote for the person who's going to represent us at
the
state and
party.
federal level, and the party, and then that party elect amongst themselves their Prime Minister.
Are there any significant differences between your system and the English parliamentary system?
I think it's
similar.
pretty similar. We've based our system off their system. Yeah.
One interesting point that a lot of Americans are fascinated about is the fact that it's compulsory to vote in Australia. You can actually get fined if you don't vote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so you've got to
everybody
register
over
when you
18.
turn 18. You register to join the electoral roll, and then every
Do
year
people
after.
often get arrested for not voting?
Not arrested.
We'll ask the police officer.
I guess it's not really common, but it is something that is a fact, that if you don't vote, that potentially you could be fined. So when you do enrol to vote on the electoral roll at 18, then every subsequent local, state and federal election you are required to vote. It's compulsory.
Yeah, and
And
if
how
you're
do you find out? You look at the rolls and see. Do you have to vote in person there, or do you
Yeah,
do electronic voting?
There's we don't have
Mail.
electronic voting. You can enrol to be a postal voter, but you have to have special circumstances. So either elderly, there might be some sort of special requirement where you want your address or your details withheld from the electoral roll. For example, if you're a police officer, you're able to have that afforded to you, so that people can't just access your information off the electoral roll. But generally people will have to attend in person, have their name off the electoral roll, and then cast their vote.
Yeah.
You can apply for absentee if you're travelling
Mm.
overseas, away from the country as well. That's the other thing I want to say. Australians travel a lot. We're very fortunate. A lot of people have got a lot of paid annual leave, about between 3 to 4 weeks, depending on your situation. And because we're isolated as one country, we feel like it's a way of life to travel and explore the world. It's especially in our generation, probably
Yes.
Caitlin and I, we're in our late 20s, and it's something that everyone does. So that's something we find interesting. We see the world, and unfortunately, the more we talk to Americans, we find that there's not the opportunity for them to travel as easily as what we see.
Yeah,
We have
we-
the same paid holidays as well. Like I was talking to
No, we don't have as
one
much.
person, you can work for 10 years and have 1 week annual leave a year, and then you build up to 2 weeks, and then by the time you've been working there for 25 years, you might get 3 weeks. And that was really fascinating to me, that you don't have that time off that we do. And my last host family, they were working 10 to 12 hours a day, and that was their normal working day, whereas Australia, we're very strict about working 38-hour weeks and having that life balance. So that's been really interesting to me.
Maybe that's why you call us laid back.
Yeah.
We
spend too
are
much time on
laying
the
back
beach.
a lot.
I was wondering what, I think we asked this in maybe a different way earlier, but what does Australia think about America, the country? You talked about our people, but what about the country? What's the view of Australia, in Australia, about America?
I think Australians have great affection for America, the country.
Yeah, I think
We're strong allies. Australia have stood with America, a number of times in a number of wars. I think that we have a great friendship with America. We value your country and your ethics and your patriotism. I think a lot of times Australians will seem to sort of follow trends that happen in the United States. I think that we're good friends and allies with
like
America.
a big brother.
We view America with affection.
On a less serious note, though, we think you're all obsessed with celebrities and Hollywood
So true.
and fast food. Yeah.
We don't have drive-through ATMs either.
No.
Yeah, that was different.
Yes.
Drive-through banking.
No.
Yeah, you like
Get
to
out
drive
of
through
your car
everything.
and go into the bank.
What is the view, how does Australia view Britain? Or England, the British Isles?
More royal. We're like the naughty cousins of Britain.
Britain is actually still
Yes.
the
Yeah.
central
Yeah,
head of the government,
so
right?
the Queen is still our head of state. We have a Governor General who is the Queen's representative in Australia. I guess we still have our systems from England. We do have monarchists still in Australia, but we do have a big Republican movement as well. I think as the younger generation is coming through, I think they're recognising that they would like to see an Australian head of state, so that, you know, one day we can have an Australian president represent us. Potentially that will happen in time. It will be interesting to sort of watch that space and see how that goes. We did have a referendum in relation to the issue of whether Australia should become a republic. That was actually defeated. However, I don't think it was the question of do you wish to become a republic. It was essentially the model that was presented wasn't attractive to Australians. So I think, you know, in time the question will be posed again, and I think possibly with the younger generation that it'll be a favourable outcome, and we will one day have an Australian head of state.
I think the royal family, the young royals, did a lot to improve their image with, you know, August, you know, having the younger generation of royals come through with
very
William
popular.
and Kate, and so it's become popular.
There is a really good working relationship. Like a lot of kids, especially when they finish high school and before they go to university, they'll go over to England and work for a year and do a gap year before they start college. So there's a lot of people, there sort of seems to be a lot of movement between like Australia and England and Britain, and for people working, because I think we're able to get a 2-year visa to work in Britain and the EU.
Yeah,
so,
if you're under 30.
Under 30, yeah.
More easily than over 30. Yeah.
Is there, you know, in your county, as you probably have heard and seen, the American Revolution, the Revolutionary War, where America won its independence from Britain, is a big deal because the government of America met here for 9 months in the middle of that war. And what's the view of the American Revolution in Australia? You know, the 4th of July, the Declaration of Independence. Is there a consciousness of that? Does anybody care? Just kind of curious.
I think it just goes back again to your patriotism and your love for this country. I think that's really illustrated in the 4th of July and your Declaration of Independence, and how you fought for your right to be your own nation from Britain. I guess in Australia, you know, it's all been handed to us. Like we, you know, at times we can be a little bit apathetic because, you know, we haven't had to fight for our freedoms. So, you know, our, I guess, road to having independence from Britain will be different, because it'll more than likely be, you know, a referendum. We'll vote on it. You know, we won't essentially have to fight for it. But I certainly think that you can see that patriotism through your 4th of July celebrations, and you know, that's something that I really think is a standout for me, and what I've highlighted, you know, in relation to, you know, your Pledge of Allegiance and your love for your country and your flag.
We don't celebrate it in Australia, the 4th of July.
Yeah, I figured you probably didn't.
No, but we do celebrate. Some people celebrate Halloween though,
Yeah.
so it's not, and that's not.
Yeah, it's we've taken on some American holidays. Yeah.
So Halloween, what else?
That's pretty much it.
Valentine's
We don't
Day?
do.
I don't know if that's an
Not
American holiday or
Thanksgiving.
not.
Probably started with America. We don't do
So the whole
Thanksgiving, is that what you
no.
said?
Yeah, it's not
No,
really.
No, you don't know what
do.
you're missing. That's good. You should start.
Yeah. Well, but Christmas is big for us, like Thanksgiving is big for you, I
Christmas
think.
is the big like
The
family
family.
get together,
Yeah.
and
And our Christmas, our summer holidays are over Christmas, so that's notoriously when everyone has time off,
Oh, good.
so that they can spend time over Christmas with,
Here's a question. So I'm the editorial page editor, so I get letters to the editor. So that's one of my functions to deal with that. A lot of the letters to the editor I get, you know, in America, people love their guns, and we have a Second Amendment that says that you have a right to guns and so forth. They talk about how guns were supposedly confiscated or outlawed in Australia, and then everything became terrible and so forth there.
Terrible?
Or
better.
That's what these letters say. So what you
Yeah,
live
that is
there,
so
tell us about
Okay,
it.
romantic.
Well,
yeah.
20 years ago, there was a guy. 30 is it?
1996.
96.
It's 20.
20, sorry.
That's 20.
20 years ago, there was a gentleman in a small island just south of Australia. It's a state of Australia, Tasmania. Went crazy, had a psychotic episode, and killed 35 people. So that was the instigation of the gun amnesty. So people surrendered their guns. You can have a gun with a license, but it's only for sport. Yeah.
Yeah, or farmers as well.
And
farmers.
And it's a very strict ruling about it. You need to have a certain kind of cabinet, and you're only allowed a certain amount. And that kind of thing.
So
They have a buyback scheme.
Right, so from the perspective of Americans who are really gun enthusiasts, that was a terrible thing to do, and that it created crime in Australia and stuff.
We haven't had any other massacres.
This is the last
Or,
time.
mass shootings.
We still have gun
There's
crime in
been-
Australia,
yeah.
but I mean not to the extent that we had. It's called the Port Arthur massacre. You know, most Australians know about that happened. But I mean, you know, we still have issues with you know, gun-related crime. However, not to the extent that we experienced as a result of the Port Arthur massacre.
So from your perspective, that was a good thing?
Yes.
Yes,
Not for sport,
totally.
Not for...
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I live in the country, again, like I said, and there are guns there. People do have them, but they have them hopefully licensed, and they use them for hunting purposes and farm use, you know, which is a practical use. So I see the place in guns. I understand guns. I come from a country where hunting was mainstay in Africa, like everyone had a gun. So I understand that side too, but it's pretty interesting to see how well Australia goes with that strict gun rule.
Yeah.
Very well, I
A
think.
lot of people think they need it for self-protection here, and they carry it for protection. And so forth.
But wouldn't you think, but then the protection is protecting against what, someone else with a gun?
I guess so.
So it's like,
I guess an issue for us is like, is it really necessary for, you know, normal citizens to have access to automatic and semi-automatic weapons? You know, for us, as a result of Port Arthur, you know, we determined that, you know, that's probably not appropriate. There's no need for that.
Right, that's the crux of a major debate in the United States. And you've seen we've had several massacres using
we hear about it.
Yes. Yeah.
What about, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting that we seem to only hear about the really big ones now. Like, I think there's a lot more that happen, but, you know, if it's under 10 people, it doesn't make news in Australia.
What about the racism in classism and racism in Australia? What do you see there?
Probably classes-wise, not different to you guys.
I think Australians view it as a melting pot now. It wasn't at one stage. They had the White Australia policy up until the 70s, and so it was very much they allowed people from Europe who were white skinned to come into the country, but it was strictly a White Australia, which is an embarrassing part of our history. But now they encourage all people to come into the country legally, that is, and it's a melting pot of lots of different nationalities. So multiculturalism is very predominant.
Don't really have a very strong class system, I wouldn't say. Like, it's not super obvious. Yeah.
As what you guys seem to have.
Yeah.
Or people openly talk about the class system here, like upper class, middle working class. Like, it's a very open thing that everyone seems to understand really well. I think a lot of Australians don't grasp that concept. I don't know. It's not as open.
You know, one thing that I think Americans also are interested in about Australia, and it might tie into race and class, I'm not sure, are the Aborigines. You know, I mean, and Crocodile Dundee helped, just like Witness in America helped, expose the world to the Amish, and in some way, what about the Aborigines? How are they viewed there? What part of the country do they make up?
A small percentage, very small percentage.
Minority.
I think it's about 1%. I don't want to be quoted on that, but I think it's about 1% of the population, just very small, and mostly in the outlying. They're not really in the cities as much as in the outback, where they are able to
still live in their traditional way.
But they've been hugely affected by white people and European settlement, but in the sense that they've given the money. They didn't have any access, they didn't have it. That wasn't what they did. They were a very old civilization. They're the oldest living civilization on Earth, and so they've got very different ways of living.
Yeah.
They were nomadic and
They're hunter-gatherers,
Yeah.
so they do not ever are
settle.
used to growing their
Settle.
own food.
So when they were given houses and money and access to alcohol, it made it very
Social
difficult.
matters,
Yeah. Would anyone else like to
The
comment?
Australian government are working towards reconciliation
Yeah.
as well for the Aboriginal Indigenous people in our constitution. That's still something that's unfolding as we speak. They've got a committee that are looking at that, and they're doing a lot of consultation with Aboriginal elders in regards to that and how we should recognise them in our constitution. So that's still evolving even today.
There are some similarities with the American Indians and the American Aboriginals in the way that what did I say? American Indians and the Australian Aboriginal in the handling of their tribes and in
it's
what
a
we've
European
been learning. There's
settlement.
been similar kind of.
It's still a difficult. It's still a very difficult situation we have. Yeah, education-wise, and how to teach Indigenous children differently, so that they, because they do learn differently. The parents don't see the value of them going to school, and so it's hard to get the children to school. So therefore, they're always behind the 8 ball when it comes to education. So there's some big issues. The other issue is deaths in custody, and also suicides of young
and life expectancy gap
Yeah,
is also
and health,
a massive,
that's right, health.
massive difference.
So so there's some issues that need to be addressed, or are being addressed in Australia in relation to.
in hopefully the right way.
Yeah,
You know, we see from history
Yeah, it's
that
not about
we
getting
think
them.
we can fix these people, these Indigenous people that European countries, get to, and we think we're fixing them, but are we? So we're hoping that we're doing the right thing and having them have the power and the say of how they want that done is vital. Yeah.
The Indigenous community don't view Australia Day as Australia Day. They don't celebrate Australia Day. They actually call it Invasion Day.
Yeah.
And so they don't celebrate the 26th of January as Australia Day.
And Australia There's one day we have the flag out like you guys do every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite the closest thing to
It's
it.
the same concept. Yeah.
The getting back, just following up on the idea about the challenges that Australia has faced over the years. Of course, you had a major challenge in World War II, with Japan in particular, going down, towards you, island hopping down towards you all.
Yeah.
What's the story there? How does Australia view World War II and the Japan threat?
We actually, where I live, we're on what's called the Brisbane line. So it's not something that we were ever taught, and I heard myths about it when I was living further south because of where an airport was placed, and that was apparently strategically placed. But we have tank traps, so they drew a line between, I think it was Brisbane and Adelaide, and we're pretty well willing to, that was like the last line of defence. So there's all these wooden posts and concrete triangles sort of along the rivers and the mountains and things, so that and that was to stop the tanks. And we had about 10,000 troops stationed in our area for training and R&R during World War II. So I think that was sort of also strategically placed there.
But tell them about how far Japan actually got.
Well, Japan only, I think it was Darwin.
They only
so
bombed
it was they
very
bombed
north.
the very, very north. And then I think we might have had a change of government, and we can't, realise that they couldn't just give up Queensland and half of Australia. So I think that was sort of shelved, and it's never been talked about again. But yeah, they didn't get, it was only Darwin. And then I think there'd been a couple of subs that have been found in Sydney Harbour,
But I don't think there's any doubt that if after the Pearl Harbor and then the bombing of Hiroshima, I don't think there's any doubt that if that hadn't happened, that we would still be here today. I think that would have changed circumstances a lot, and that Japan would actually
Could have
have
been
taken
fully
Australia.
taken it.
I think a lot of people feel that, and I think that's what has developed that really strong allegiance with America
Yeah.
for us, is that was a sort of a saving thing. I know that it wasn't a great thing to happen, but it strengthened those bonds between us and America, because we were the ally.
They were on the cusp of getting us.
Yeah, we were right there. And that's how a lot of people from that era would have viewed it, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for taking the time to come talk to us. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I'd love to come visit Australia sometime. I sent my son on a people-to-people exchange program to Australia when he was in middle school, 11 years old.
Wow.
He had the most great, wonderful experience.
Do you know
there,
where he went to?
Huh?
Whereabouts did he travel to?
He was in Sydney and generally kind of in that area.
Yeah. How long for?
About a month.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Similar to
Kind of similar to your trip.
Yeah, that's
so.
really brave, sending 11
It was scary.
That is,
And it was so far away.
I've left my children at home and gone to the other side of the world, but sending my children, that's
It's
incredible.
been great. It was good for him because he travels a lot. He's
That's
been to
wonderful.
India, he's
Yeah.
been to the Middle East,
Yeah.
and he's still young. And I never go anywhere. So,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for coming and talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Enjoy the rest
Thank
of your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.